Good evening and a big hello to the Estacada community. I'm so happy to be able to join Estacada School District families and the Estacada community for a great October Facebook Live. I love these opportunities just to have the opportunity to engage with our community, be on a social media space that is so prevalent of opinions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, and we're very proud as the Estacada School District has the opportunity to engage with our local community on major events and hot topics and big decisions that your school district is considering and working through. My name is Ryan Carpenter, and I so very proudly serve as the superintendent for the Estacada School District, and we are truly off to a tremendous start to the school year. We're collecting a ton of early data, both with student satisfaction, employee satisfaction, parent satisfaction, as well as looking at our behavior, our attendance data, and our early learning data. And we're seeing just some tremendous wins inside all of these data points. You can rest assured and be confident that your local school district is off to a tremendous start. And I'm so very proud of that. And I want to just give a heartfelt and deep thank you to our hardworking and dedicated group of employees, from classroom teacher to cook, custodian, bus driver, paraeducator, principal, vice principal, and district office administrative supports. There is an amazing team that we've put together over the last several years in order to execute and achieve high results. And so I just wanted to convey to you as your superintendent that I am extremely pleased with the start of our school year, with the expectations of continuing the great momentum that we've already started with. And we have a dedicated and committed group of people who are here to make sure that students learn at high levels, everyone feels welcomed, and just keep the momentum going in so many different aspects. Today's an important day, and I hope that you'll be able to join me and participate by asking questions that might be on the top of your mind. Ask some questions that you may be hearing around town that you'd like to get direct answers to. And I really encourage you to participate in this back and forth conversation. I'm here tonight to really answer any of the hot topics or questions that might be burning off the top of your head. But at the same time, I just ask that you be respectful. I ask that your questions come in a way that gives me an opportunity to address them. But again, ask questions about anything. It's a big district. We have a lot going on, and I want to have the opportunity to share those keywords at key times, as well as just to share some of the hot topics and decisions that we're working for. So I do encourage your participation. This is such a special opportunity, and something that I cherish deeply is an opportunity to engage with you this evening about your local school district. Today, we're going to be talking about four main topics. The first is I want to talk a little bit about REID Day and how important it is to really understand why we have REID Day and how important it is for you to send your child to REID Day when they get the invitation. The second thing I'm going to talk about is a reconfiguration update. As you know, next year is a big year as we transform our school district to better handle our growth and capacity. I will also be talking a little bit about e-bikes and scooters. This is becoming more and more problematic amongst our community. And as the leader of this school district, it's beholden upon me to really educate our families and to talk about what next steps are going to happen as we try to curb, pun intended, some of the dangerous behaviors that are happening inside of town. But before we do that, I do just want to get to my favorite part of All In Live on Facebook, and that is to do the fact or fiction section. So let's go ahead and head right into that. So this is always my favorite part, and I like starting out with it because our great communications team is very involved in social media, both Instagram, Facebook, and other things, Instagram, Snapchat, you name it. Our communications team is deeply involved in it. We care a lot about how we serve our community, and we want to make sure that our community is satisfied with the services that they receive from their local public school district. And so we watch it, we regularly respond to things that are out there, and I just want to thank all of you who equally participate in either quelling rumors, sharing information that's more productive for the conversation, and just to put it bluntly, setting people straight when things have gone awry. And your ability to support the school district, share that information, I cannot tell you how valuable that is. And so I just get to cherry pick some of the fun ones to talk about, is it fact or is it fiction when it comes through. So let's start with that first one. This one came up on Facebook about a week ago or so, and here is the comment. And we kept these people anonymous. We do want to protect that. So here's what they said. Amazing how the school district will let anyone come play on the tennis courts during school hours. Do they rent this space, or is it just a free-for-all? Well, first of all, thank you for noticing that, and I appreciate your attention to people on school grounds during the school day and after the school day. We need everybody to monitor our public school systems, and I'm greatly appreciative of that, and greatly appreciative that you had the bravery to post that and ask that question. I think that's really important. This is a fact. There is a group of community members who play pickleball regularly. If you drive by any time in the morning during the summertime, you'll see between 20 and 30 people actively engaged in our middle school tennis courts playing the great and popular game of pickleball. There is no doubt about that. I do just want to clarify two things, just so we can set this straight for the record. This is a organized group of local citizens, some of which are former employees, some of which are friends of Estacada schools, some of which we have no idea, but at the same time, they are actively involved and dues-paying members of this group. They do contribute financially to our school district. Each year they make a donation to our school district in order to utilize the facilities and courts. Over the course of about 3 or 4 years of doing this, they have asked me specifically if it would be okay on Fridays and a few other days while some students are in schools. And while schools are in session, if they could engage in that in the mornings or in the afternoons as school gets out, or towards the end when the weather traditionally gets a little bit nicer. Because they have been great partners, because they've been good stewards of it, and because they can pass a background check, we have allowed this to happen under the contingency that if a PE class needs to go out there, they'll leave. And if for any reason, they violate that or do harm to our courts, obviously it's a privilege for them to be able to do that. But it's a great community partnership. Again, we want to be a school district that partners with our community. These are key stakeholders. These are people that I believe say and support the great things happening inside our school district and our community. And so it's been a delight to be able to allow this group of people to do that, but they do pay and they participate even beyond that payment in terms of making our school districts better when it comes to many different community service activities and experiences. So I do just want to say thank you for that comment. We do have a group who does participate playing pickleball, and again, it's a privilege, but it's also been a privilege to be able to work with them and allow them to do that. So that's a good one, and that is true, and we really enjoy that group. They're a great group of people, most of which are retired, and are just great stewards of our community. Here's the next one. Our cheer teams work hard almost the whole year around, cheer on the other sports, and have brought home a state title. These girls are respectful, dedicated athletes, and it would be so kind if they could get the same consideration for space as other youth teams. I want to say, first of all, that some of this is true and some of this is false. Our cheer team is amazing, and right now we have a brand new coach who's doing an incredible job of building a youth cheer program. could not be more proud of Bailey and what she's doing really to get students engaged and excited about the sport of cheer. And cheer, by the way, is not like we remember it back in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. Cheer is a very competitive sport. Not only are they at our games cheering on and leading the crowd in different cheers and chants, supporting our athletes on the field, but in addition to that, they also participate in a lot of tumbling, throws, and different types of competitions, which are extremely competitive. And I think that our cheer program is really building something awesome that I think in the future will compete quite well at state levels. The Estacada School District not only deeply supports the cheer program, it supports all programs, and we want to make sure we have a plethora of extracurricular activities so that all students can engage and or try something new to help them just be more successful people in life. And cheer is no different from that. So I 100% agree, and I know firsthand how hard this group works. I know how great momentum this program has, and I'm extremely proud of it. I do just want to point out the false part of this, and that is our youth cheer program, which is different than the high school program, actually does have very specific spaces for them to engage in practices, just like youth baseball and softball, youth football, youth basketball, and youth soccer. We actually treat them very much the same. This fall, Monday through Thursday, from 4 o'clock p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m., the River Mill cafeteria belongs to our youth cheer program, and they get the same exact rate as every other youth sports program inside our community, which is free. And that's very rare for school districts. Most school districts in our surrounding areas charge a premium for youth athletics, and this is what makes youth athletic participation costs extremely high, is so that they can pay the rent to school districts to rent the space. As long as I've been in Estacada, it's been a priority of this school district to keep those fees down, to encourage as much participation from our community as possible, as well as to provide this space for free, in order to keep those fees down. And that makes us very unique. And as long as I'm the superintendent, that's something I want to continue to prioritize. And so they do have a dedicated space, and as the winter time comes and basketball starts to take the gymnasiums and stuff, we've already arranged for dedicated space for this youth cheer program, no different than anywhere else. I think where the confusion is right now, and some of this is just a narrative that's coming from a few parents from this area, is one of the biggest challenges with our youth cheer program is the storage of mats. And I'm talking about youth cheer, I'm not talking about school cheer. High school cheer has a dedicated spot and a dedicated place for them to store their mats. And so from that perspective, we do have an obligation, and we are doing that to support our school programs. But the youth cheer is completely separate, and while the school district provides a dedicated space, the problem is at River Mill, we currently have 560 students in that building. And so we are over capacity currently at River Mill Elementary School, which means there is no space for this youth program to be able to store their equipment. And so what we've asked of them, no different than what we ask of our baseball program, our softball program, our football program, and our basketball program, is when that youth event ends, they need to take their equipment and go home with it or store it in a different location. Baseball coaches bring multiple buckets of baseballs, their bats, helmets, all of the above necessary safety equipment, and as soon as that youth baseball practice is over, they put it in the back of their truck and they go home. Football is the same way with tackling dummies, etc., and basketball is the same with the racks of basketballs, etc. And so this is a very common expectation that we have of everybody else. Now, I know that cheer mats are extremely heavy and they're gigantic and big. I'm well aware of that. And if our building was under capacity, or if we had a spare closet space or something of that nature, we'd be able to allow that. But we have 560 kids in that program. We have classroom and school supplies everywhere, in every nook and cranny in that classroom. And so at this point, we are unable to find a place that doesn't impact the instructional day and still allow our youth cheer program to be able to do that. And that's some of the frustrations that the school district is working with the youth cheer program on. But at the end of the day, they have a space, they have equal opportunity like every other sports program, and we care deeply about our youth cheer, and we love our new cheer coach who's doing a fantastic job. So a lot of that is true, but I just wanted to clarify that. I do just want to say one other thing before we move on to the hot topics. And that is this, which is, I think, just a good way to say this and a good reminder. Because Estacada is an emerging, growing town, the Estacada School District still shoulders the entire 100% burden of housing all youth athletics inside this community. There is no park space for a baseball practice to occur. There is no YMCA for other youth basketball programs to play in. There is no pool, there is no anything like that. And so any available space or patch of grass that the school district possesses is open and fully utilized by our youth athletic programs. And so it is important to remember that there are no other alternatives for our young kids to go and play any type of athletics or sports. It's your school district that shoulders the entire burden of that, something we love and we're very proud of, but it's also stressful, especially as we grow into a school district that's larger than 2,000 kids, most of which are participating in some type of an activity. And so we're proud of it, but it's also a challenge for us as well, and we're working very hard to try to accommodate it in the limited, overused resources that we currently have. As we move forward, I really want to move to some of our hot topics and kind of work through some of these things quickly to really have some time and opportunity to engage with your comments and questions. So please, if you're watching this live, please type your questions, your thoughts. I would love to have the opportunity to talk about them and just to listen and understand them. If you are not watching live and you're watching this recording later, which a lot of our families do, please don't hesitate to continue to comment. Our communications team watches these communications regularly, and you will receive timely feedback and support, and your comments will be relayed to me so that I am aware of those questions and what's being said. So please participate, live or not live. So I want to talk about REID Days. REID Days is an extremely important and valuable instructional academic opportunity for our students on Fridays. As you know, about 3 years ago, we moved to a 4-day instructional week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We expanded the instructional hours a half an hour each day, Monday through Thursday, so we did not cut classroom time, we did not cut instructional time. We accomplished all of that Monday through Thursday. But as we listened to the voices of our parents and as we listened to the voices of our employees, we wanted to find intentional instructional time, which we moved to REID Days on Fridays, which is 2 hours, for teachers to hand select students to work on very specific learning skills and content standards and in a smaller group setting. While our class sizes are decent, we are at a 25 student to 1 teacher ratio at the elementary school and a 30 student to 1 teacher ratio at the secondary level. So we're not small, but we're also not gigantic like a lot of other school districts. We're right kind of in the middle when it comes to class size. But Fridays is an amazing opportunity for a highly qualified, great teacher in our school district to work with 10 students on one specific skill, or 6 students on one specific skill, or 14 students on one specific skill. And these teachers personally invite our students to be able to accomplish these tasks. So if your child is sick on Monday and they miss a big test or assessment, the teacher has the opportunity to invite them to come in on Friday to retake that test or take that test. If a student takes a test and scores a 2, which means that they were almost at grade level, but just slightly under, this gives the teacher the opportunity to invite your child along with 7 or 8 other children and specifically reteach that skill in a different way with a methodology in hopes that your child will learn it this way, different than in the whole group setting. And so these Read Day Fridays are extremely surgical, and our teachers do a great job of customizing and handcrafting these interventions or enrichment opportunities so that we can ensure kids are achieving at grade level. So critical for all of us. Since we've moved to this methodology of Monday through Thursday, regular school day, and Read Day Fridays, we have seen a major uptick in student achievement. As you read news and articles around the nation about math scores tanking and reading scores tanking, the Estacada School District is actually doing the opposite of the national trend, and we continue to see growth both in math, reading, and in language arts entirely. And so we're very proud, and we have so much data to prove this is working. The other reason why Read Days have become so successful for us is because the popularity and the wave of parent choice is so big across the country. Parents are choosing to take their students to charter schools or homeschool or send their students to public education. But the big thing is Estacada families wanted to have more choice in what those Fridays look like. And so we created Read Days also for you. If you want to take that 3-day weekend to the beach, or if you want to take your family to hunting camp a day early, or if you've just got something else planned, including some of our high school students who have to work in order to help their families pay the bills. There's a myriad of reasons why this has become so successful for us, and we created Read Days to support parent voice about school choice. But the reason why I'm saying this is, yes, it is successful, and yes, our teachers do a phenomenal job of handcrafting and customizing specific targeted instruction for students who need that extra work. I just want to remind you that while you have the choice to send your child to Read Day or not, if you're receiving an invitation from your teacher, it is on purpose, and there's a very specific thing that the teacher wants to do with your child in order to get them to grade level, or if they're at grade level, to get them beyond grade level in an enrichment type opportunity. And so I just ask you kindly that if a teacher invites your child to Read Day, I strongly recommend you take them up on that so that they can receive the best services from our highly talented employee workforce in order to allow them to achieve. Kids do not get invited each and every single week. It is very specific and very targeted. So there are so many opportunities for you to take that 3-day weekend, or for you to choose to send your child to Read Day or not. I just wanted to reiterate that if you get that invitation, that is because your child's teacher needs to do a very specific thing in a small group setting in order to help your child get to grade level achievement. And so I hope that you'll take that seriously, and if the opportunity arises where your child gets that invitation, that you'll fulfill that obligation by sending your kid to get the very specific help that they need. Read Days are critical. We love Read Days, and we hope you'll take advantage of that when you get the invitation to do so. I'm going to pause right there to start working through some of our questions and comments. So excited for this opportunity. And next to me is our communications director, Maggie Kelly, who does such a phenomenal job. Maggie, what are some of the first things that we're getting?
Yeah, we've had some great questions so far, so thank you so much to everyone that's submitting them. Our first question is a great one from a parent who says that they live next to Clackamas River Elementary, and his daughter, under our new school plan that we'll be talking about in a little bit, will be attending Rivermill next year. They're a walking family, and her big brother walks to school and back every day. Is there a plan for transportation in Estacada so that students won't have to cross? He says Wade Creek. I think 6th Street area,
Yeah.
which is a busy road?
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question. And I will tell you that we do not have a specific plan built and ready to, roll out to our community yet. In fact, we're just starting the committee phases of that work. We want parent voice, we want employee voice, and then ultimately we need our transportation experts to be able to weigh in and look at all options. I do not deny that transportation is going to be one of the trickiest pieces of this, as well as parent pickup, the verb parent pickup, in terms of parents coming in and through to pick up their kids. And these are things that we're just getting started on. And so your feedback and your ideas are actually quite helpful and important to us, because I do think we need to take a deeper look at who we're going to transport and who we're going to ask to walk. We know that we're going to have multiple families, one at one elementary school, one at another elementary school, maybe even one at the middle school or high school in addition to that. And how can we make sure that kids are walking and transporting themselves safely to get to their end destination? And so your question is valid. It's something that we're working on as we speak, but we're just in the infant stages of that because we want to get it right. And we want to make sure we collect as much voice as possible so that it's a co-owned community effort, not just the school district saying this is how it's going to be. I think that's a recipe for failure. I think if we can get more voices and more heads together, I think we're going to be able to put a good option in. I do want to point out, though, that I have been working closely with the city of Estacada because while there's a three-way stop right in front of the middle school on Main Street, I am lobbying and working to get a three-way stop placed on Broadway and 6th Street. That's where like Big Jim's is and Granny's and the entrance into Rivermill Elementary School. That's an area that gets nasty with traffic both before and after school. And we have a lot of walkers moving in and out of that, even in our current situation. And so we need to do a little bit of traffic work in partnership with the city as well in order for us to execute our vision of what we think would be a best experience for everybody. So I know I didn't fully answer that question, but I just wanted to transparently say that we're in the process of developing that. And I would say within the next 2 or 3 months, we'll be ready to go with a sound plan that had a lot of community input.
Thanks so much for that great question. Our next question is from Sarah, and she wants to know if there's any plans to try and get a different bond measure passed.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it that we need to talk about the B word again. Bond is definitely something that at some point we need to encourage our community to pass to the tune of 50.1% or better. Capacity continues to be an issue. Outdated facilities continue to be an issue, and making sure that our students have competitive career technical education experiences are still paramount. Even though our bond was unsuccessful a year and a half ago, those needs have not gone away, and in fact, we keep getting bigger and bigger when it comes to student enrollment. Here's a fun fact for you. There are expected to be 1,400 more homes built in the next 2 years in our community. If you drive down the old Eagle Creek Highway, you can see massive construction in multiple subdivisions. And so at some point, I have an obligation to advocate for our kids and the school district and what their needs are. I am hoping to see some more community strength and community advocation to push our community and our school district towards a bond that recognizes the needs, not only today, but thinking 10 years in advance and what our school district will look like. The tricky part right now, where we're in the process of bond conversation and where we continue to get stuck, is finding the right price point. We've tried a very cheap bond in 2016, and the community rejected that, and a lot of people rejected it because it wasn't enough. last year or a year and a half ago, we tried for a very big bond to fix everything: capacity, outdated facilities, and career technical education. And the community said that that was too expensive. And so finding that right price point to address our needs today, as well as think about what it looks like in the future, is just a tricky situation for us in this community. But I appreciate the conversation. It is unquestionable that this school district needs community investment to handle our growth and capacity, and just to modernize our facilities to give our kids the same experience as what kids in other communities are receiving these days. And so we're working, but at the same time, I'd still say we're pretty far away from putting a package together that both the school board and myself feel confident with.
Another question, well, not a question, but a comment from Michelle. She said that her son is super excited to ride the bus to Malala for the game on Friday and go Rangers. So just wanted to pass along that feedback, and we're rooting for our Rangers as well.
Amen. That's a very big game. We are the number 6th ranked football team in the state of Oregon. Football has always been a powerhouse in this community, and it's very important to this community. I'm excited to be able to send students there. As you know, Malala is a major rival to our school district, like the Ducks and the Beavers. Malala is definitely fits that role, and so we want to make sure that our community travels down to Malala to represent and root on the Estacada School District. So thanks for that. I'll be there too.
We had a couple of comments just saying that the REID days have really made a difference for their students, which is great feedback to hear.
Yeah, thank you.
And then we got a question about REID days from Lisa, who wants to know what is offered for students who are above grade level and how are they challenged?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I'll just first admit, Lisa, that is an area where we as an organization need to improve. We do have times where we do invite students in to do enrichment opportunities. There are occasions where teachers send home with students over the weekend some different projects to just expand their learning and or read a new book that's in alignment, but maybe at a higher grade level, etc. But I would say the majority, you're correct, the majority of our READ days really focuses on the students who aren't there yet, and we have improvement to do, I'll admit it, with students who are there and are looking for opportunities to dig deeper.
We have a question. Well, a couple of questions, so I'll just pull them together, one from Christina and one from Nikki. What is the process for parents to get involved on the committees, and when can we look for the committees to be finalized? Yeah,
that's a great question. And so I would encourage you to reach out to Maggie Kelly, who is overseeing the committee regarding transportation and the parent pickup process. And if you go onto our website, you'll be able to find her contact information. And all you simply need to do is email her and say, I want to be involved in this decision process and in the committee configuration. And Maggie will get back to you and we'll put your name on the list. And as we get closer to starting to put our committee meetings together, you'll certainly be invited. I appreciate your willingness to help. We need the help. There's no doubt about that. And so thank you for your volunteerism, and anyone else who might be listening that isn't ready to post just yet in this conversation. This invitation is for you as well.
Thank you. We're thinking we will probably start the committee work shortly after the holiday breaks, and we'll be widely posting that opportunity as well and making sure that it's available to all. You don't need any expertise, just a passion for wanting to help our kids get acclimated to this new change as best as possible, and a willingness to share your opinion. So We're excited to get that work going.
Absolutely. And I do want to just point out too that, we're going to try to get voices from all aspects of our community as well. So I just want to get in front of, if there's a group of people that are just, hot to trot about one specific thing, and they, invite 40 different friends, that's an inequitable representation of our community. And while we'll absolutely select a few do, we want to make sure that everybody is represented as a part of this. And what I mean by that is people who live all the way out in George to people who live right next door. Everybody needs a voice in this conversation, and so we'll try our best to make sure that it's equitable at the same time.
Thank you.
So as we move on, and then we'll come back to questions, because I've got 3 or 4 hot topics, and I know some people are staying on just to hear some of these hot topics. I do want to give a quick reconfiguration update, and I know many of our families have received our press releases and our communications, and it's just important to be able to communicate where we're at right now with reconfiguration. And so I want to point out first and foremost that our district is going to continue moving forward with what we're now calling phase 1, and that's the reconfiguration of our elementary schools. And the reason why we have to do this next year, which is absolutely paramount, is Rivermill Elementary Schools is literally bursting through the seams. Rivermill this year has 560 children in it now. It is effectively 20 kids larger than Estacada High School is currently. It's enormous. And I do just want to thank our employees at Rivermill Elementary School. We're so lucky to have such a great group of people who care so deeply about kids, because every nook and cranny in that spot is full of a classroom and teachers and kids and support staff and secretaries and a pre-K program with only one gym, and we're trying to squeeze everyone into that, and only one music room and library, and we're trying to squeeze everybody into that. They don't even have the capacity to hold an assembly at this point that could take all students. And so we have to parcel that out to some extent, or just have kids sit on the floor, which makes it less of an impactful assembly. And Clackamas River Elementary School has 420 kids. Just this week, Rivermill Elementary School received 10 more kids from the new development, and that's going to be a continuing trend. In fact, I'm so worried about it that our teaching and learning department and our student services department were working together to find a threshold, because at some point, any new kid who comes into our district that lives in the current Rivermill boundary is going to need to go to Clackamas River, because there is simply no more space for us to take on new kids. Right now, we're looking at a grade level approach. There are some grade levels that are completely full, and so new families may have to send their students to Clackamas River if they're in that specific grade level. We're not ready to announce that yet. I'm just sharing with you that I'm deeply concerned about a growing student population inside Rivermill. But it's because of that is where we need to finally equalize both buildings so that they're both full, not one overfull and one not. And so effective next year, Rivermill Elementary School will be a pre-K through 2nd grade school, and Clackamas River will be a 3rd grade through 5th grade school. And we're in all of the processes we're working behind the scenes in order to be prepared for that. So when your child arrives next year, they can expect the same great experience that they're receiving this year in our school district. And so we are moving forward with that, and we're building the plans of moving all of those things together in an effort to support that. I'm also excited, by the way, because I think nothing is cooler than having 6 2nd grade teachers in one building, sharing kids, working together, collaborating, making kids move to different classrooms when we're teaching specific skills on a certain topic. There is so much upside to having all of our specialist resources in one building supporting a certain age group of kids, no different than 3rd and 5th grade at Clackamas River Elementary School. The reason why we're slowing down the implementation of moving 7th and 8th grade at the middle school over to the high school is because when we looked at the early population numbers last year, we knew that we could fit the 7th and 8th graders inside Estacada High School. The high school has a capacity for 1,000 kids. There are currently 516 students who attend here regularly. And so we're at half capacity. Well, a new problem has emerged this year, and it was unpredicted, and that is a surge in sixth grade students, more so than we expected. And so next year, that sixth grade group will be seventh graders, and the problem is if we were to move the seventh and eighth graders to the high school next year, the capacity of Estacada High School would be 968 students, almost at capacity of Estacada High School, with really minimal room for growth. And so I know that this kind of yo-yo effect can be frustrating, but I also wanted to communicate that the last thing I wanted to do was move a group of students, make a building fully over at capacity, and then in a year or two have to yo-yo that group into a different spot. We want to make one move, and we want to make it the right move with a long-lasting opportunity. And so we're taking this year to better study the population, look at the population trends, and see how we can best serve our students for the long run. Back to the bond question that one of our community members or parents communicated, at some point, everybody, we're going to run out of room for all of our students. Even this reconfiguration to some extent is a Band-Aid, but instead of moving this group of kids to the high school to support their learning, we just want to take an extra year to pause on that to see what the overall trend looks like, and do we need to move portables in certain spots. And so we're going to take next year to further study that. And while that might not be a great answer or a great rationale, I hope at least you'll support the fact that instead of rushing to a judgment or being stubborn and sticking with our decision, I think we're making a safer decision by saying, let's just pause a year and continue to look at the numbers. And so that's where I'm at with reconfiguration update, and maybe I'll pause for a little bit if there's some more conversation around reconfiguration. But I just wanted to share to you the district's updates in hopes that you can also share with your friends and your community where we're at and how we got to that decision.
We've gotten 2 more questions, mostly surrounding student transportation and walking. Our first question is from Crystal. She wants to know if there's availability for a crosswalk person at the coffee shop. It's dark in the morning and there's a lot of kids coming from the big gyms area.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And, again, as congestion continues to grow because we've got more people in our community, our crosswalks continue to be challenging and at times even questionably safe. I will tell you that the city of Estacada does a tremendous job, and they partner with us regularly to make sure that we have safe walking routes to school. They've actually invested a ton into improved sidewalks to allow our students to engage safely. I do like that we have 2 crossing guards at the middle school and at Clackamas River, and then we additionally have a crossing guard from the football stadium into the high school. And so we're pretty well staffed with employees. I think it's important at this point to make sure that we educate our students, those who are traveling from big gyms, if they're going to the high school, to utilize that crosswalk. There's a stop sign there, and so I am a little bit more confident about a safer environment in that congested little area. And then we also have adult supports, and so if it's the safest thing for a child to just take a 2-minute detour and go to where a crossing guard is, I would strongly recommend that. I was also in a meeting today with our operations department, and we did talk about potentially purchasing used, not brand new because they're pretty expensive, but either some of those mobile, like big spotlights that construction companies use to shine on our crosswalks, because I agree with you, and maybe it's because I'm getting older, I don't know, but it does appear to be getting darker and darker in the mornings, more so than when I felt like I was 30. It seems to be getting really dark, and so it's even challenging as I drive through the school district in the morning to make sure that I'm being safe and I've got my head on a swivel. And so I do think either improved spotlights and or improved stoplights from PGE would be tremendously helpful. And that's something that we started working on today, and I hope that you'll see some improvements with lighting on that street as well.
Well, Superintendent Carpenter, it's funny that you mentioned that because our next and last comment
All
for
right.
now was from RB Munns, who asked if there's anything that can be done to add lighting in front of the junior high school. It is getting dark at drop-off, so it's not just you.
Yeah, well, that's a good idea. I'm going to make that Mrs. Munn's idea as community voice. But yep, I'm with you on that, and we're in the works starting today and trying to improve that process. So thank you very much. Keep them coming. I want you to stay engaged and participate. I am going to move to my next hot topic, which is e-bikes and scooters. This is something that might seem comical, but it's actually causing a lot of problems inside our community. And so I want to just first of all state what the problem is. This year, more so than ever before in my career in Estacada, more and more students are riding electronic scooters, electronic bikes, even some pretty cool looking motorcycle things that are electronic as well. And I guess this is a modern times, and so this is the modern bike. When kids used to actually ride a pedal bike, we'll have to explain that to our younger generation what a pedal bike is. But now it's all e-scooters and e-bikes and those things. And the problem is I've now received over double-digit complaints from citizens in our community about our students and their use and not safe behavior with those e-scooters and e-bikes. Here's a couple of examples of things that have happened from students on these bikes. We had a citizen's side view mirror ripped off because a kid on an e-bike or e-motorcycle was riding too close to a parked car and just blew the side view mirror off. We have a student who is on one of those e-motorcycles without a helmet, and they like to ride fast at the end of school, and they'll be on the high school 6th Street, and they'll be in traffic, but once they get to where the cars are stopped at the stop sign, they then hop onto the curb, they blow through the stop sign, and then hop back onto the street and just keep on going. And in one occasion, they actually knocked a citizen over who was walking on the sidewalk and causing a little bit of damage to their legs. And so it's just a reoccurring concern of this. And so I want to just share with parents, because I think there's a lot of parents in our school district that are actually unaware. And I wanted to share the law with you. Did you know that it is illegal for any child under the age of 16 to ride an electric scooter, or bike or motorcycle or anything E with wheels? And there's very clear statutes and laws in terms of who's allowed to ride one of those bikes, and you have to be 16 years or older. So if you see an elementary school coming in hot on an electric scooter, if you see a middle school student coming in on an e-bike or an e-motorcycle, even if they're wearing a helmet, it's against the law. They're not allowed to have those. And I was unaware of that as well, because I see it so often, not only in our community and in other communities, but it's actually illegal. And so one of the things I wanted to do tonight in this Facebook forum session is make sure that I educate you that if you are in fact a parent that allows your child to ride an e-bike or e-scooter to school, it's actually illegal to do so. And I wanted to get in front of this and make sure that you're aware of that, because this problem has become such a pain in our community, as well as it's really exhibited some unsafe behaviors. And the last thing we want to do is get a kid hurt through doing some of those activities. And so I need to let you know that our community as a whole is so frustrated with it, and I have a responsibility to serve our community through the school board. And so I have asked our school resource officer to begin monitoring and enforcing e-bike and e-scooter use on our campus and in the transportation zones coming into our school district. And so I just wanted to bring this up and bring this to your attention in advance because you will see a bigger police presence of our police officers enforcing the e-scooter laws. And so to prevent your child from being stopped by the police and or receiving a citation, I just wanted to give you an advanced heads up. If there's a different mode of transportation or an old school bike or something like that is legal, in compliance, and a little bit safer. So I'm going to pause right there, hoping there might be some comments about e-scooters and e-bikes.
We don't have any questions right now at this time.
Okay. Well, anyways, there you have it, and that's a big one as well. I do want to conclude tonight, as this was the last hot topic that I wanted to talk about, and I just want to conclude tonight by sending a sincere thank you to our community. As many of you know, our school district family and the Estacada family as a whole experienced a very tragic loss of a student just a couple of weeks ago. And I first want to recognize our Estacada School District employees, our counseling team. This is a death that rocked the students in our school communities. This is a death that rocked our employees as well as it rocked our community. And I'm just so proud of how the school district turned internally together to make sure that we were able to support our children as they grieved and worked through some of the harder things that they have to experience in a lifetime, that our counseling, our school psychologists, our social worker, so many different people, including outside counseling agencies that we had come in to be able to work with our students, but also work with our employees, many of whom had a deep relationship with the student from kindergarten all the way into high school. And I also just want to send a deep and sincere thank you to our community. One of the things that impresses me so much about Estacada and why I love living here is because when times get tough, this community gets so tight together, almost as one team. I've had that experience with the wildfires. I've had that experience here with COVID. And I've had this experience here when we've had some very tragic times inside our community. And when times get tough, this community rallies. And so if you were someone who lended support, a helping hand, a tear, and a heartfelt sorrow to our school district, to the family who was deeply impacted, or to any of our students, I just wanted to say a sincere thank you to you. This is never an easy time, but it's when you live in a community like this where we come together is just what makes us make sure that with each day past that is one day better. And so this was a very difficult time for us. Our hearts still continue to cry for this family, as well as we are going to try our best to remember this family, remember this student, but at the same time, make sure that everyone is feeling safe and taken care of and supported. And so it was quite an ordeal, and I'm just very proud of our school district. I'm very proud of our students, and I'm most proud of our community for coming together to work through these things. And so I just wanted to say a big thank you to you, and I wanted to take the time in this forum to be able to express my deep gratitude, and on behalf of the school board, their great gratitude, and of course this district as well. Is there any other comments or anything else?
We have one last question on the e-bike scooter topic.
All right.
They wanted to know, what does enforcement look like if a student is violating this?
Great question. I'm sure we're asking for a friend. And so what we think it's going to look like, and again, it's to some extent, it's out of my control. I'm not a police officer, and I don't enforce the law. I would like to think that in the first encounter with a police officer, they're going to educate the child on the fact that if they're under 16, that they cannot be riding one of these things to school, probably write their name down, and probably the next time they get caught doing that, they will likely receive some form of a citation underneath that. If they're over 16, then they're perfectly legal to do so. We just ask that they ride those things in a safe manner and in compliance with road, traffic, and safety laws. But I do appreciate that question. And I think even though you're the one asking that question, I think a lot of other families have the same question as well. And so I do appreciate you asking that.
And our school resource officer has a good existing relationship with staff, and we're
Yes.
really just trying to educate the community for now, so hopefully we don't have to take it any steps further.
That would be great. And hopefully this communication supports that as well. We're really trying to be preventative here, but I also need to acknowledge that our community is pretty grumpy about it, and we have a responsibility to make sure we're following the law and making sure our kids are safe. And so I have an obligation to start working on this problem inside our community.
Well, that is all of our questions. Thank you so much to the community who participated. We had really great on-topic questions, and we really appreciate the opportunity to have a conversation with you.
Absolutely. And thank you, Maggie, and thank you, Josh, who's working behind the scenes. But I do just want to say the Estacada School District is off to a tremendous start. That's because we have a great community, and it's because we're committed to the best communication that we can possibly put together, both in this forum, in our emails, in our chats, and in other various forms of communication. Please, the purpose of this is for you now to have this conversation and to be able to turn around and help us answer questions, work through myths, play your own fact or fiction game with your friends. And I'm excited to see you on the next one. I sure appreciate you joining me, and it's a great time to be living in the Estacada School District. Have a great night.